Good afternoon. Welcome. It is Wednesday. It's about 1:44. Well, like it started. I want to go about 1:30, but that's close. This is better than we've done in the past. Uh, Welcome to the sports show with no name. I am Chad Bryan. I'm your host. I've got Ben Bales with me. Ben, what's going on, man? How you doing this week?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing okay, man. It's been a couple weeks since we've been on. Anything,
Has
anything
been.
new? Anything going on? What's going on with you?
Nothing much really.
Nothing
Just
much.
excited baseball. Excited baseball's back.
I know it's weird to see like actual games. Like I've seen, like you see like box scores and like people are
I
getting
know.
home runs and striking people out. It's really exciting. And we will get into that today on the show. We're going to talk about we'll talk about the Guardians. We'll go over the AL Central. Today's our AL Central preview day, and it'll be light on Central and probably heavy on Guardians, because that's what we do. We do local sports, for the most part. We do some national stuff. And we're going to talk about, we've got to talk about the Myles Garrett Cleveland Browns situation, especially as it pertains to the draft and just, I don't know, what we can even try to guess that the Browns are going to do. They seem handcuffed. They also seem very, you know, they're very strong in their stance that they're not going to trade Myles Garrett. I know just as we probably are going on the air here, Kevin Stefanski was just scheduled maybe about 45 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago to do a press conference and just basically talk about the draft and some things like that. So if anything new comes out of that, we'll try to get it to you while we're on the show. If we see anything, I doubt he's going to say anything groundbreaking. Ben, real quick before we get into headlines, I don't know if you saw Andrew Berry talked about, and I think this is what you have to do when you have one of the top 2 or 3 picks in the draft, right? They've talked so glowingly about like 5 or 6 players. I think just maybe trying to puff up some value to that second pick, right? In case they do decide to trade back. I think you have to create that urgency there. But they talked about Travis Hunter a little bit. Sorry, I got distracted. Did you see that? Did you hear anything he said at all or no?
Not really. No.
Basically that they would consider, they would, if they were going to take him, they would take him. They love him at 2, supposedly now. But they would take him as a wide receiver first. That's how they look at him in the NFL, and that surprised me a little bit. I thought,
It did
first of
because
all, I think the most value, if you're going to go with positions, it's got to be corner, right? I mean,
and not
especially
only
if you're
that.
talking about the number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah, not only that. He was also better at corner than he was at receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, yeah,
Like,
I mean, that's
like, and I stand on this, and I have since the college football awards came out.
yeah,
He should not have won the Blitnikoff Award, but he did just because of his name,
okay,
and I stand by that. But now
okay,
I think he should have won the best defensive back award, but he didn't.
that's okay.
But I don't think he deserved to win the receiver award.
No, I
But
think
I
there were
also
2 or 3 or 4 receivers with probably better overall numbers.
but I think he's an elite level cornerback.
I
He's
do
got
too.
this, like, he's got that length. He's got lengthy arms. He
Yeah,
knows how to but I think playing receiver helps him be such a good corner because he knows what receivers are thinking. He knows what they want to do. And
yeah.
I think at the NFL, playing at that high of a level in college can kind of help you even if you don't still play receiver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think he's going to forget the position or all the nuances of route running or,
No.
how guys like to get open or what they like to do, what they're comfortable doing.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll forget any of that. But I think, I don't know. It's to me, I think the biggest thing is just the fatigue factor, right? He's not a big guy.
Nope.
um, Absorbing all those hits at the receiver position. And then, you're going to have to dish out some hits as a quarterback. You're going to have to make some tackles. I don't know. I mean, can he? I don't know. I mean, I'm not anybody to tell anybody what to do or what they're capable of, right? I mean, you don't know what's inside a person's heart. But I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear on a guy who's not real big. The
I
NFL
agree.
is tough, man. It's a tough game, obviously.
I
And
agree.
I just think I don't know. I think his better future is at cornerback. That's my
I
personal
would agree.
opinion. That doesn't mean anything to him, probably, and that's fine. But I just feel like his better future is at the cornerback position, especially with a team like the Browns. I don't.
And I've told people, I say if you're going to draft Travis Hunter at 2, right, and he really really wants to play both sides of the ball, right?
Yeah.
We've seen it before with Deion Sanders. We've seen it with Jabril Peppers. Like yeah, their main position might be cornerback, right? But you could throw him out there for 5 plays on offense in a game.
Yeah.
At receiver, he might go catch a couple passes, maybe a touchdown.
Yeah. I don't think he has to play 90% of snaps in the NFL. I don't think he
No,
can. I don't think he
no.
can hold that up.
And
Just don't
but
think he can do it.
like I told my dad, I said I think he's a good enough receiver that like if you say, hey, we got these 5 plays, these are your routes. Do you want to
Yeah.
play them? Like he doesn't. Then he doesn't have to sit in on the receivers meeting. He doesn't have to be
Yeah.
on
How
the
do you split the
offense.
time in practice?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you? That's a whole nother. He's learning a whole new system, whole new terminology.
Yeah.
Everything's brand new, right? And then it's at the not only that, it's at the elite of the elite levels of football. How do you split time? I mean, how does that help you? I don't think that helps. So anyway, like I said, my opinion probably isn't worth much of anything to him. But that's my opinion on that. I think he's better off at cornerback. Let's get into headlines real quick because we don't want to get going. Sadly, this week, Guardians owner Larry Dolan, I'm sure you saw this on Monday, passed away at 94 years old. Dolan purchased the then Indians in 2000 for just $320 million. It seems like I don't necessarily have that laying around in the couch cushions, but I mean, it seems like a relatively good deal now, right? 25 years later. Dolan was a local guy, born in Cleveland Heights, and played football and baseball at St. Ignatius. And his dream growing up was to own the Cleveland Indians, and he did. The Indians / Guardians purchased them, and the family obviously is still going to be a part of ownership. I don't know what will happen now going forward, if that's something that the family wants to stay involved with or whatever. Do you have any insight on that or no?
Well, I do. Not sure when it's going to happen, but I don't know if you saw a couple of years ago, the Guardians sold 49% of their ownership.
Mm-hmm.
The Dolans no longer own 100% of the Guardians. Right now it's 51-49 on ownership.
For some reason, the gentleman's name escapes me. I don't know why I'm not thinking of his name.
Who?
The minority owner of the Guardians.
Matt Collig.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I don't know.
The reason why I know that, because when Brunswick was playing Hudson in football, I was talking with him and found out that he was part of the ownership group that bought 49% of the Guardians.
Okay.
And funny story about that. Somebody asked him, they said, are you going to spend money if you become the owners? He goes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, it's easy to say, but then,
it is, yeah.
I guess if you're the owner, you can do what you want.
But I don't know when. It all just depends on when they're going to buy the remaining 51%.
Yeah, I would think it would be at least an entire calendar year, if not more. For that transition to take place. That takes a long time.
I think they said they were shooting for 2026, 2027.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah, well, there you go. Okay, so a couple years. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, sadly, like I said, Larry Dolan, passed away at 94 years old. So thoughts and prayers are with his family and, with all the Guardians family as we think about that. A little less serious news. I don't know if you saw this. For some reason, this happened 2 years ago, Ben, but a video ran across my timeline this week and it caught my eye, and I watched the video a few times, watched it. I'm just trying to keep an eye on what happened to see if, if there's any benefit of the doubt that you can give the guy. But a college umpire, it wasn't a college umpire. I'm sorry. It was an umpire for, it was a Frontier League game. It wasn't, I thought when I first turned it on, it was a college game, but it was a Frontier League game between the Tri-City Valley Cats and the New York Boulders. And I don't know if there are any better sports nicknames than when you get like independent baseball leagues. I
know those are wild.
Yeah, the Valley Cats and the Boulders, man. Sounds like a Jets Sharks, like a West Side Story, like they get together. And anyway, doesn't matter. Back in 2023, there was a situation where, let me try to see. I think the Valley Cats manager had accused the Boulders. The Boulders are the home team. He accused them of cheating. So in this league, in the Frontier League, you're allowed to have a tablet in the dugout.
Okay.
And you're looking at basically like past at bats to try to pick up any whatever. You're looking at film, right? You're watching film. It's 2025. Like this is 2023, but we were technologically advanced back then too, and we had that kind of thing at our fingertips. So now we're doing this, right? So the Valley Cats manager said, "Hey, I don't like that. They got the center field camera out there. I don't know what they're really looking at on that tablet. I want the tablet out of there. They're cheating. Something's going on."
I think I heard about this. I think I heard about this.
Yeah. So during the discussion, one of the players for the Boulders was tossed out of the game. At that point, there was more of a discussion, and I think sometimes when you're a baseball player and you get tossed from a game, you maybe feel like you might want to get your money's worth. So he came onto the field. Obviously probably not happy. He felt like he got singled out. I don't know the whole situation of why he got tossed. I don't know that. It could have been very justified. But anyway, he approached the umpire that kicked him out as a first base umpire, and the umpire turned around and appeared to throw, I don't know, like a little body jab to the midsection, right? Like got the player kind of in the stomach. And you can see him kind of jolt back, and he thankfully the player didn't overreact. I think there are a lot of players in that situation that would have overreacted and probably maybe gone a step or two too far.
Yeah.
But it was a wild situation. And then, later on, you see the umpire on the phone on the field getting a call from I don't know who. I guess it wasn't the crew chief. The crew chief would have been right there on the field with him. I have no idea who the phone call came from, but he was ejected from the game. He was asked to leave the game. And it just was
crazy.
a bizarre situation to see him walking out. He walked out to the left field gate or whatever. He's like walking out to the outfield. So just leaving through. It was just so surreal. It was such a weird moment.
Speaking of umpire mishaps, did you see that in college baseball, they're trying out these safety bags at first? The orange safety bags.
Yeah. Well, listen, when I played college baseball, all the way 100 years ago, we had that. So
did you see the Stetson Florida game though?
No, I did not.
So this guy hits a little chopper.
Speaking of nicknames, by the way, Stetson. You know what they are? The Hatters.
I don't know what that is.
Awesome. Well, it's like Stetson, like the cowboy hat. Anyway,
so dude hits a chopper and beats it out, hits an infield single.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the umpires pause the game and go to review it. Because
did he step on the wrong bag?
If you don't touch the orange bag, any part of it, you're out.
Yeah.
And mind you, there was a runner on third that scored. So it should have been 2-2.
Oof.
But the rule states that in this case, that if the run scores, the run still counts because technically it's a hit.
Yeah.
But they reviewed it. The guy was out. The umpires took the run away, so Stetson protested the game.
Oh, wow.
Didn't play the 8th or 9th inning.
Wow. Really? They walked off the field?
Well, no, I don't think. But they said they were playing in protest, and then they were going to protest the game
so they finished
after.
The game. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but then they were going to protest the game after.
I always think that's so silly. What's the What I understand you play the game under protest. That's fine. You file a protest, whatever. I get it. You're officially mad. Okay. You're on paper as being mad. We understand. It's never in the history of baseball ever done anything for anyone to play the game under protest. Has it? We got to look into that.
Idea.
Maybe for next week's show, we'll find out if anyone has ever gotten a call reversed by playing the game under protest. If that's ever worked out for anyone, we'll find out for next week's show. That's ridiculous.
Speaking of stuff like that, all these, NBA, NFL, MLB, they have all these, disciplinary, kind of rulings.
Yeah.
If something's wrong, a team can turn it into the league, and the league can be like, yeah, they missed this call. We'll look after it. We'll make sure they look for it next week.
Sure.
That actually happened in the Columbus Crew soccer game.
Okay.
This guy elbowed one of the Crew players in the head. Should have been a red card. Should have been ejected. Referee gave him a yellow.
Oh.
Okay. The Crew submitted it to the rules committee. The rules committee said, yeah, the referee got it wrong. Should have been a red card. They fined the player, gave him a red card, and now he's suspended for the next game.
Okay.
So
but, you can't go back in time and eject him from that game. So it doesn't really I get the suspension aspect of that, but I just playing a game under protest is so silly to me because let's say you play the game under protest and you go on to lose that game 3-2, right?
Here, did they lose? Let's find out.
I have no idea. So let's say it should have been 3-3 or whatever. What do you are they going to go back and do they change the call and go, okay, that game was actually a tie. Great job, Stetson. I don't understand. I get that. Like I said, you're officially mad. You've let us know. Beyond that, I don't really know what else that does. But this whole thing got me thinking of different just shenanigans with umpires in general. A couple that I've seen, on Facebook or on TV or whatever, and one that I've actually seen live right in front of me. But I don't know if you remember, a couple years ago, there was a college baseball game where an umpire called a strike, and the player was a little animated about, the batter, I should say, was a little animated about maybe disagreeing with the call, right? Didn't necessarily agree that it was a strike. And on the next call, and it's terrible timing. It was the 9th inning. It was the end of the game. The umpire called a slider that was so far, egregiously out of the strike zone, off the plate. Called it strike 3 to end the game.
I remember this.
Getting suspended for that.
I remember this. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and he admitted. He was like, "Listen, I did it because I was mad. I shouldn't have done it. It was a stupid thing. I shouldn't have done that. I overreacted. I acted emotionally in the moment. Let my emotions get the best of me, and I took it out on the player. And you've got a guy like Angel Hernandez who just scooted through his whole Major League Baseball.
I agree. Yeah, it's
doing a great job behind the plate, right? But it just got me thinking, if I've ever heard of an umpire getting ejected or leaving a game in the middle of the game like that. And I think back to when I was in college. Again, here's another story from 100 years ago. I don't know if you know this, by the way. When I played college baseball, actual life was in black and white. So we didn't even have color. We were playing a game in Florida. We were in Fort Myers for the spring trip for baseball. And there was a game where, so the way the park was situated, there was the main stadium with like the big stands, kind of in the middle. And then there were little satellite parks around. We were in one of the satellite parks. So we were off to, the first base right field side of the main stadium. So there were a couple of guys just standing up at the top of the seats. It wasn't a big stadium, maybe, 15, 20 rows of stands, like pretty big. It used to be a minor league park. And they were standing up there watching the game, and they were just kind of having some fun. And I thought clearly, playfully heckling the umpire on every call. I mean, every single call, to the point where it was obviously a joke. Like, it wasn't to be taken personally. It wasn't. They didn't have a dog in the fight. They weren't there for either team. They just were in the main stadium and were like, let's watch this game back here, right? No big deal. We'll have some fun. So, I mean, every pitch, it was like, strike, come on, blue. Like, they couldn't see the plate. They had no idea, right?
Yeah.
Literally just having fun. So there was one point where they again had heckled the umpire, and the umpire stepped back, called time, took a ball out of his ball bag, right? Took a step to the side and just wung it up at these. I threw it at these guys in the stands. And they had a long time to react. I mean, it took a while to get there, but the one guy caught it. And he's like, man, I wasn't even saying anything. It was him the whole time. Like, we're just having fun, man. Like, what are you doing? And the guy's like, sorry, guys, I'm out. And he dropped his ball bag right there on the field and literally okay, so the parking lot was this way, okay?
Yeah.
He walks this way to the out. I don't know if he lived in the neighborhood that was beyond. I have no idea what happened. He just walked off the field to the outfield. I mean, he just walked away. It was like Field of Dreams, just disappeared into the woods. And we're like sitting in the dugout, like, what is happening right now? Where's he going? So we got delayed. We had like a 30 or 40 minute delay while they tried to find another umpire to come work home plate for us. And we sat on the field and joked with the other team. And I mean, we obviously talked about how none of us had ever seen anything like that ever in our lives. I still haven't seen anything since. It's just a really bizarre moment, man. I don't know. I don't understand what led to that reaction from him. But umpires, man, it's a stressful job, right? It's tough back there on balls and strikes, especially in the heat.
Stetson went on to lose that game. They protested the Florida 6-1.
Okay.
So it went from being, it should have been 2-2 to ended up losing 6-1.
Okay. So play the game under protest, but you lost. Like, okay. Anyway, who cares? Sorry, Stetson. I don't agree with playing.
So my funny umpire story is I was playing in a game, and we had this umpire the week before.
Yeah.
And I'm playing, and that game I wasn't catching. I was playing center field that game.
Okay.
And, I made a couple nice catches. I think I made a diving catch. I think I threw a kid out at third or something like that. And then, so the next game I'm catching because my brother wasn't there.
Nice humble brag, by the way.
And he was the field umpire the week we had him before.
Okay.
So he's the home plate umpire.
Right.
And we get there, and he's like, hey, since you made those catches in the outfield, I'm going to give you a really small strike zone today when you're at the plate. I was like,
what?
I was like, I don't want you to. He's like, why not? I was like, because I want the game to be fair. Like, and he goes, okay. He's like, I'll give you normal strike zone. And I kid you not. First pitch, kid throws a ball right down the pipe, right down the middle. I never swing first pitch. Those right down the pipe.
Right.
Umpire goes, ball. I'm like, not going to complain, but okay.
See, I think that makes it harder now. You have no idea. You can't get an idea of what the strike zone is.
Yeah. So then I just went out there and started swinging first pitch. I was like, dude, what? And then the coach goes,
here. Yeah, this is uncomfortable.
Then the coach is like, what did he say to you before the game? I was like, he told me he was going to give me a smaller strike zone. And he's like, and? I was like, I told him no. And the coach was like, what are you doing?
He still did it. It's funny.
But no, but then it turned out that he was joking the whole time. And but then I was like, but how do you call a pitch right down the middle, a strike or a ball? He goes, I thought it was low. I was like, it was belt high.
You're arguing with the umpire the other way. I love that's my favorite.
I was like,
I wish you would have gotten close to that, actually.
Because I don't like to have an advantage when I play sports, right? Like,
I just want to, I don't want to know. Listen, I don't want to know what pitch is coming. I just want to see it and react. I didn't do as well when I knew what was coming. I felt like if I knew it was going to be a fastball, I was way out ahead of it.
Yeah.
If it was a curveball, I'd wait back too long and let it get on me. I'd rather just see it and react to it, to be honest with you. I don't want to know what pitch is coming. Don't tell me. Don't say my first name or last name if you're on second base. Just let me hit.
I used to be the kid that would be on second base and I'd steal catcher signs. My brother was
You gotta
hitting
do
one
that.
time.
They
My
gotta do
brother
that.
was hitting one time, and I'd wait till the pitcher would look back at second. And every time he looked back at second, I'd throw down the catcher's sign to my brother. And the pitcher
Right.
steps off and goes, "Umpire, he's stealing my signs." The umpire goes, "He's allowed to."
I mean, right. I have eyes. I can see what you're doing. Like hide it
And-
better or create a series of
And then it's just so then the other team's coach.
And by the way, it's chaos when you have to change your whole sign sequence in the middle of an
it
inning
is.
or whatever. It's chaos.
Oh, it
I mean,
is.
It's wild.
And so then the coach's like, "Okay, go to your secondary signs." Next pitch, they get confused. Kid hangs a breaking ball. My brother hits it off the fence.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Nobody knows what the secondary signs are. Everybody's
no.
got them. No one knows what they are. I don't care
Nope.
what level you're playing at. I mean, you've seen it in Major League Baseball when you get a guy back there on second base doing some stuff. Like it causes problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing you can do about that as an
And then
umpire.
we
But yeah, I
played-
thought the umpire leaving in the middle of the game was crazy. I think
Oh,
getting ejected
I've
as an
never-
umpire is wild.
I've never seen that before.
Getting suspended for a vendetta is crazy. Like you're not supposed to be part of the show. You're supposed to be
Like
an
I've always
impartial judge.
told people, I said like I don't know if I could handle being an umpire in today's
tough.
world. Like
It's tough, especially now. You're right.
Like-
People are so
like,
much
honestly-
more vocal about what they do and do not like. It's
honestly, I think if I was going to umpire, I would do like the younger kids, like 11, 12, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
You would
like
think that would
age
be a
group.
more relaxed environment, Ben, but it's really not. It's not.
I mean, I get that, but at the same time, like the kids are kind of still learning the game, so the parents
kids
kind of
are.
understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, but it's also at the same time, it's kind of like you can talk to parents like, "Hey, look, like kids are still learning the game." Like,
Yeah. And you hope that works, but there are groups of people
no,
who I've
trust
seen
me, I know.
act in a very terrible way around even just rec league baseball. But anyway, I want to move on. That's umpires behaving badly. I don't know if you've got a story for us. Let us know in the comments if you've ever
Sure.
played a game where an umpire's done something crazy or something just crazy has happened with the umpire. Let us know in the comments, and we'll we'd love to hear your stories. As far as I guess we are back on a Cleveland headline. Listen, Cleveland's getting a WNBA. The Rockers are coming back. The WNBA Cleveland Rockers are going to be back. It looks like they'll begin play out in 2028.
Yeah.
So
and
maybe by the time we see the Guardians have new ownership, we'll have the Rockers over in Rocket Arena, or whatever that's called now.
speaking of that, did you see that they're getting the Cavaliers' old training facility?
No.
Because the Cavaliers are getting a new one.
Yeah.
they're
The
giving
one
the
in
Rockers-
Independence, you mean? The old one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're giving the Rockers the old one. So they're going to have a
Okay.
state-of-the-art training facility in their first year. Like that's pretty
cool.
like talk about being set up for success right away.
Yeah.
Like you come in and get a state-of-the-art training facility
Good for them,
it's-
man.
that was built for NBA. And when I say this, I don't mean any, hate, but like you get a training facility that's built for NBA athletes, like WNBA teams. Yeah, they have great facilities, but it's not as
Sure.
good as NBA facilities, right?
Yeah. They're
Like,
just
they
not.
don't- like-
That's not saying anything. Right? Just
Yeah,
that's a
they don't
yeah,
have as much
there's
money.
A lack, yeah, there's
they
a
don't have
certain
as much
lacking there
revenue.
that doesn't need to be. Yeah.
But like you give them that kind of training facility,
Yeah.
like you're setting them up for success right away with all the tools they have at their disposal and all that
Good.
kind of stuff. Like you're gonna have like people are gonna want to come train to those facilities.
Good
And
that's a great
only-
facility. I've been inside
it
there
is.
actually. I've been to the facility.
I haven't, but
Really
I've
nice
seen
facility. Yeah, it's a nice
seen it.
facility. Well, I think this is in large part thanks to Dan Gilbert. It sounds like he
Me too.
paid quite a bit of money to
Yeah.
help make this happen. But yeah, the Rockers were here originally from 1997 to 2003. They're one of the original 8 WNBA teams.
it. Yeah.
Until I just Gordon Gunn just suddenly announced that they weren't going to operate the team anymore, and that was it. There were no more Rockers. But they were 108 and 112 in 7 seasons. They had a couple playoff appearances. Their best season was in 2001. They finished 22-10. They won the Eastern Conference, the regular season Eastern Conference. Then they unfortunately lost in the first round of the playoffs to Charlotte Sting. But their best postseason finish. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals in 2000. So a couple of good years there where they were a pretty formidable team. You would have to think that, I don't know, hopefully they can get things going again when they get back here. But I don't know. It'd be nice to maybe get a WNBA title in Cleveland, right?
Would be.
Got a couple years to think about that.
Can we is there any way that we can dress LeBron up as like a female and just have him go play for the Rockers?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. We can talk about that. I'm not really sure what the rules are. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I'm just kidding when I say that. I'm not being serious.
No, I know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder
Me too.
things like how do they do? I'm not sure how they do expansion teams in the WNBA. Like where the pool of players comes from. They're
I
if
think it's
there's an
just like
expansion draft or it's just free
Well-
agency. I'm not sure how that works.
well, the Golden State Valkyries had a draft this year. I think it's exactly like the NBA. Like each team gets to protect so many players.
Okay.
And then the expansion team can pick from the players that aren't protected.
Okay. All right, I'll look into that. If you know how the WNBA expansion works, or if you just want to comment on the Rockers, whether it's their first iteration or the new version of the Cleveland Rockers that are going to
So
be
do we
around in
think
2028.
I got a question for you. Do you think their colors are going to be the same as the Cavs, or do you think they're going to go with a whole completely different color scheme and colorway?
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't you want to stand out a little bit? I think you'd want to stand out. I wouldn't want to be the Cavs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to be in their shadow. I want to stand out.
Yeah.
Let's do something bold, right? Like stand
Neon
out.
pink and purple.
Team. There you go. I love it. I would be down for it. I'll buy a jersey. Whatever.
Oh, I would too.
I'll buy a jersey. So good luck to the Rockers. Like I said, we got a couple years to think about that. But if you have any personal experience with them the first time around, if you're just excited about them coming back, or if you've got, maybe you've been to a game or you went to a game the first time, you want to tell us a story, let us know in the comments. As always, we would love to hear your Cleveland Rockers stories, your thoughts, your opinions, your whatever, maybe your feelings, whatever. You can get your feelings out here. I mean, if you got, it could be a therapy Wednesday. We're fine with that. Anyway, yeah, the Rockers are coming back. Let's move on. We should probably move on. What else are we going to do today? We got to talk about baseball. I was going to start with the Browns and the Myles Garrett situation, but I think we'll end with sad, depressing news today. What a great way to end the show. But I'm going to talk about baseball first. I'm really excited that people are playing baseball again.
Me too.
I can't necessarily see them because they're not televised yet, but I think a couple have any games been on TV yet?
I haven't looked, to be honest.
Usually the first couple weeks, it's like, let us get a gauge, let's kind of get a grip on what our product is going to be before we, before we put them out there. And by the way, I do want to say, if you're watching the show with us, if you're with us on YouTube or on my Facebook channel, or on my Facebook page, I did post this morning that we would be live on the show's Facebook page, and then I remembered coming into Streamlabs here and trying to stream that we need to have an account on Facebook that's older than 60 days old before we can go live. I guess we have to be trusted for 2 months before we can go live. So I apologize for that. That was an error. That was an oversight on my part. Maybe I should go the way of the umpire. Maybe I should be suspended or kicked out of the game here. But I do apologize for that before we get started. But I want to talk about the AL Central because I don't know. I mean, it's got the workings to possibly be a pretty good battle between three teams, right? I mean, don't you think the Tigers will be good again?
See, I don't know. I think the Tigers could actually have a down year.
Okay, that's fair.
I think last year was kind of.
There were a lot of guys playing above their.
There were, and
median
I think
spots. Yeah,
and baseball, in every sport, there's that sophomore slump, right?
Well, baseball has a way of just humbling you after you've done something that's above the norm like that. It has a way.
Like you're gonna have, and I also think the same thing can happen with the Guardians too. I think we could finish around 500 as well.
Sure, you never know.
But
injuries, I mean, that's the key. Being healthy is the key,
yeah,
right?
But I think at the same time, like you said, the Tigers had a lot of guys that played above their pay grade.
Yeah.
And I also think the Guardians did too, though.
Right.
Because you look at that Guardians team at the beginning of the year, David Fry was hitting like 300, right?
By the way, I want to point out my wife said finally. And I don't know if that means I must have stopped talking about something, or maybe she's talking about maybe she's talking about baseball being back. But either way,
no, but like you look at the Guardians and you look at the Tigers, like they had a lot of guys that played over their pay grades.
Yeah.
Like all I'm gonna say is David Fry was an all-star, but didn't have an all-star season. He had an all-star first half, but not an all-star season.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, right? Like I love the David Fry at the beginning of the year. But
thank goodness for Lane Thomas coming on at the end of the year.
Yeah, because David Fry didn't do anything until that Yankee series when he hit that walk-off homer.
Yeah. Great moment.
But that's the one good moment he had in the second half of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
And you look at the Tigers, literally every single player on that team played above their pay grade. Yeah. Is it going to happen again? It's extremely hard to keep doing that every single year.
Yeah. I mean, Tariq Skubal, you could reasonably expect him to be good again. I don't know if the rest of the pitching staff will be as good as they were down the stretch. I mean, the Tigers were absolutely lights out down the stretch last year. They were insane.
I mean, so were the Royals too.
Oh, by the way, it's good for she was talking about baseball being back. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. So just want to point that out. Live on Facebook and YouTube, I did nothing wrong. So just saying. It's the first time ever.
No,
Sorry, Ben.
but I think, I mean, Chad, I told you this off before we started the stream. I said I think
Yeah.
if the Guardians starting rotation can be consistent, you don't have to be elite, don't have to be great. If you can be consistent, the Guardians have a shot of being really, really good.
Sure. And now listen, to be fair, I have some questions about the starting staff.
I do. No, don't get me wrong. I do too, because I mean, you only really have a solidified number one.
And who is that?
Tanner Bybee.
Okay.
Until Bieber comes back.
That's fine. But you don't know where Shane Bieber's going to be physically when he comes back.
I agree. You don't. But at the same time, I think the guy we got from Pittsburgh can be really, really good. He's got good stuff. He's got a 5-pitch mix. At the same time, though, I think if Bybee is what he was his rookie year, I think it won't matter how good Shane Bieber pitches because you'll still have that number one, if that makes sense.
Do you see what's happening? I'm getting harassed. My wife said, I haven't done anything wrong yet. It says not yet on here. I'm getting harassed.
But yeah, I don't think I think if Bieber comes back and he's mediocre, but you get an elite Tanner Bybee, I think you're okay. Because
listen, the Guardians have some departures that they've got some holes to fill. Okay, I think they've already filled one in a big way. Josh Naylor's gone. I think adding Carlos Santana. I know Santana's not necessarily in his prime.
I've told people this, right? I don't think after signing Santana, I don't think the Josh Naylor losing Naylor is going to hurt us as much as people think. Right?
No, listen, Santana's not going to hit 31 home runs and not get 108 runs. He's not going to.
That's what I told people. But
he's going to get on base.
Exactly. Naylor had the highest chase rate in baseball in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
In the postseason,
and didn't necessarily look good doing it. It wasn't even like he was
in the postseason. He chased at 62% of pitches outside of the zone.
That's wild.
You know what Carlos?
I get the notion of wanting to make something happen for the team, but
you know what Santana's worst year is of chasing pitches out of the zone?
I can't imagine it's anywhere near 62.
34%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I told people, I said, your lineup this year is probably going to look like Steven Kwan at 1, Santana at 2, Hosey at 3, and then probably Lane Thomas at 4 or Manzardo at 4, depending on how well they hit. And I told
that sounds like runs to me. I mean, that sounds like a lot of scoring opportunities because Kwan gets on base.
Exactly.
Santana gets on base. Jose Ramirez knows how to move guys around, right?
And
like that sounds like a lot of runs.
That's what I told people. I said, if those two guys gets on base and Jose even scores 1 run or 2 of those runs, like you go up 2 or 3-0 to start a game.
Yeah.
Like you already had an advantage.
Are you concerned about Jimenez being gone? You've got Rocchio at short, probably.
Defensively,
right?
yes. No. Offensively, no.
Does Bazana get here this year, or is that another year away? Is he going to be at second or no?
It all depends on how well he plays in the minors.
I don't think you could have had a more on the fence answer, but I agree with that. I mean, you're right.
Well, like a lot of times, there's guys that may get out of spring and then get sent, or like Jackson Holiday, for example.
Sure. I don't think he starts in Cleveland. I don't think Bazana starts with the big club at all.
Me neither. Yeah. But I think it could be like the Jackson Holiday thing where, he gets called up, doesn't play well, gets sent back down, then gets called up with like a month left in the seseason.
Yeah, I don't love that because I feel like that messes with guys' confidence a little bit. When you call them up when they're not quite ready, and you don't know if they're ready or not, but
yeah, me too.
I love that when that happens.
I've heard that he's supposed to be ready at the end of this year.
Okay.
So probably
he's got all the tools. I mean, he's got the physical tools.
Yeah, probably that September call-up window, when the rosters expand. Okay. He might get a chance going into the postseason.
Okay.
And if he lights it up, maybe he stays in the roster for the postseason. If not, he might get sent back down. But I think definitely next year he'll be on the big league club 100% for sure. But I think this year,
as a Guardians fan, you hope that's
I think
the trajectory that he's on.
I think this year, they kind of want to see what they have in Juan Brito.
Okay.
Because if he's good,
he's shown flashes, but he's also gone away for extended periods of time offensively. So.
Yeah, like if he's good, you don't need Bazana this year.
Yeah.
But if he's mediocre, average, or below, you might need Bazana quicker than you think.
Yeah. And then I think the other major departure was Nick Sandlin out of the bullpen. It didn't throw a ton of innings, but I mean, a 3.75 ERA out of the bullpen in the American League is pretty good. Struck out 68 guys over 57 2/3. I think they'll miss his arm a little bit. But I don't know. You're hearing some rumblings out of spring training about a couple other relievers that might be making some noise, right?
Yeah. Okay. This guy named Magnus Ellerts.
Yeah.
Against the Angels. He's supposedly looking really, really well. Only thing that people are saying it's concerning about him is he averages like 4.5 based on balls per 9 innings.
Okay, we'll have to cut that down.
Walks a lot of people, but he also averages 14 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Okay. Well,
So-
then he erases some of the walks. That's okay. I
So,
guess.
he throws.
But you know
high-
how it is when you walk a couple of guys in those, like, in the tense situations in
Yeah.
October, it always comes back to haunt you. It always comes back to
But-
get you.
He throws mid-90s fastball, has a mid-90s cutter, has a curveball.
Now, are we talking about like mid 90s back in time? Like it looks like it's from the mid 90s, or is it actually going 95 miles per hour?
like 95 to
Like,
97?
is it wearing like flare jeans and like, no?
Maybe it could be.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Maybe it's coming out of his
Listening
hand.
to
looking
Pearl
like Wild
Jam on
Thing.
the way into the plate. Is that what it's doing?
Look, it's looking like Wild Thing coming out of his hand. No, I'm kidding.
Nice. I've
Um,
always wanted
no,
somebody
but
to come out with the Wild Thing glasses with the skull and
Right.
crossbones on that.
he topped out at like 97 against the Angels. He threw like
Okay.
a 95-mile-an-hour cutter. He's got a
Hey, speaking of 97, one of my big questions in the rotation is obviously Tristan McKenzie. He's got the elbow that he still hasn't gotten fixed. But
But I saw in the start though his velo was up.
yeah, I mean that's what Stephen Vogt said. He's throwing 97 miles per hour in the bullpen, and
Yeah,
that's really promising. If he stays there, it's crazy to say a guy throwing 97 out of the bullpen with his past, he could break camp as their 5th starter, and all of a sudden that rotation, if he can stay healthy and Bieber is good, right? If Bieber's where he was and is healthy, all of a sudden that looks like with Tanner Bybee. And don't forget now, they added from the Pirates Luis Ortiz. Ortiz is a good pitcher. I could see him anywhere from 2 to 4 in that rotation. He's not going to be he's not going to be the ace.
no.
But he's a solid pitcher. He put up really good numbers in Pittsburgh, which sometimes isn't necessarily easy to do. I'm trying to find. I don't know if I have his stats in front. I thought I had stats in Pittsburgh, but
I might
yeah,
have
he was
this
a
one.
really decent starter in Pittsburgh last year. He had a great year, honestly.
Let's see here. Last year for the Pirates, he had
I thought I had it in front of me, but I don't have it.
he had
in
a
my notes.
3.32 ERA. He was
Yeah.
7-6 with a 3.32 ERA.
Okay, I mean, nice
Pitched
complimentary
100
guy to Paul Skeens on that staff. I mean, that could be a great arm to
Pitched
utilize.
135 innings, struck out 107.
I mean,
Only walked 42.
okay,
Has a home run
All right.
problem though. He gave up 16 homers.
smaller park.
That is true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my ball kind of flies out of there sometimes, especially in the summer.
Yeah. But so I mean, like you said, I mean he's got a 5-pitch mix.
Yeah,
So I mean his best. You know as well as anybody. When you get to postseason, you need 3 pitchers in a 7-game series.
absolutely.
You can't win it with 2
No,
or 1.
Right.
We saw that last year with the Guardians.
unless you're the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
And they did it with Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling, but they had more than that. To be fair.
Yeah,
But so anyway, it's going to be the rotation is going to be some mix of Shane Bieber, Tanner Bybee, why can't I think? Luis Ortiz, Gavin Williams, Ben Lively, and Tristan McKenzie. I would think, right? Although I think McKenzie could break camp as that the spot starter, long relief kind of a role.
Yeah.
I think until they get a better idea, especially listen now, this is a big thing too. When they come north and the weather's not 78 degrees and perfect humidity and whatever, it's not Florida weather anymore, right? That's gonna make a difference, I think, for that
It is.
elbow.
It is.
He's gonna feel that. So that could be, that could be a thing to keep an eye on too. But those are some of the questions I have. I don't know how the bullpen's gonna rebound. Typically in baseball, it's weird when you get a really good bullpen year from guys that you don't expect it from. We've talked about it. You kind of regress to the norm a little bit in baseball,
Yeah.
right? That's certainly a possibility. I mean, I think it's possible that you can see the Guardians bullpen not quite be what they were last year.
It is, but at the same time, I also think that they still could be really, really good because you look at last year, a lot of guys were playing above their pay grade, but it's also because their velo went up. You look at Hunter Gaddis as a starter, he was sitting 90 to 93. As a reliever, he's 95 to 98.
Yeah, well, it's got to be a little more. Yeah, I think it's more freeing when you don't have to go out there and go 7 or 8 innings, right?
Yeah.
You got 2 at most, and you can let it go a little bit.
But also, but like you said, I mean, the Guardians really have 6 guys that are in contention for rotation.
It's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
Honestly, I've told people, I said if I was a manager and I had 6 guys that were in contention for rotation, I'd run a 6-man rotation until one of them proves that they're not a starter.
Listen, I would do it too, just because of the weather. Like I said, when you come north and you're in Cleveland, you're playing in Northeast Ohio. It's 30 degrees in April. It's cold.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. Maybe you don't have to keep a guy I'm not sure I don't know what guys' options situations look like anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't look that up honestly to come into this. I'm not sure how many guys, if you can shuttle guys back and forth between the minors or not. So I don't know if you can shuffle. But that's an ideal situation. If you have a couple of guys in there with 2 or 3 options, and you can kind of shuffle rosters around a little bit.
Yeah.
But now keep in mind, baseball rosters are 26 instead of 25. So you've got the one extra roster spot, which allows you a little bit of flexibility. It's not a ton of flexibility, but it's one more guy.
And the Guardians have
down
always
there
used
as a spot starter or whatever in the bullpen and not have to waste him and whatever.
Yeah. The Guardians have always used their extra roster spot on pitchers. They've never brought up an extra hitter. They always
They don't have extra hitters. I mean, it's Cleveland. I mean, they're always looking for another prize. They don't have extra hitters. So
yeah, but no, I think
that's a good move. I think it's a good policy to use it on an extra pitcher.
And I think
smart.
And like I was telling friends, if Gavin Williams can be what he was his rookie year, even if he has like a 3.5 ERA, right?
Yeah.
I don't think McKenzie sniffs this rotation. I don't.
Okay. I mean, listen, you like to have him as a spot starter, I think.
You
and
do.
As a long relief guy. Like when things go awry, let him come in and eat up 4 innings out of the bullpen. That's great.
I should take that back. I think McKenzie makes the rotation until Bieber gets back.
Okay.
And then
so
I
he's
think
the 5 until that's fair.
And then like you said, I think they might move him to the bullpen, or even they might even, I don't know, if Ben Lively's not having a good year, you could see the Guardians maybe cut him or just send him down to AAA, and then McKenzie would get the starting spot again, because I don't think Ben Lively's going to pitch super, super well again this year.
Do you have any concern about Bieber's just his desire to stay here long term? I mean, do you think that this could be? Are we closing in on maybe? Is it for Shane Bieber in Cleveland?
I think if the Guardians have a good year, I think he might, pick up that player option that he has.
If they struggle and he pitches really well, you think he's gone?
Yeah, I don't. Okay. I think he.
The Dodgers. Why do they have like 4 full 5-man rotations? I mean,
dude, they
have the best AAA pitching staff of all time.
Dude, they could literally just throw every pitcher like 1 inning every game.
And all their contracts are deferred until like 30-46. So,
dude, it's like, dude, they're
you got guys signing contracts that are deferred until 100 years after they're dead. It's ridiculous.
It's wild. I mean, but at the same time, though, we've also seen that, like, having that many good guys in one rotation could also be kind of hard because they're all going to want the ball in those key moments.
Yeah. It's tough to have 2 guys out there going at once, right? Although I will say this, that would be really hard to hit. Just think about it.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, like I said, my questions are Tristan McKenzie's elbow. Hopefully we don't have to get out any blue man diagrams for Tristan McKenzie this year. I want to leave those alone. Hopefully he's healthy. Where will Shane Bieber be physically, mentally? Sometimes it's hard to let it go after a surgery. We'll see where he is after Tommy John surgery. And the offense, I think, is a big question. Is someone not named Jose Ramirez going to consistently hit with power in this lineup? That's what they need. Could be Lane Thomas.
Could be, but
could be John Kenzie Noel. He's only 23. He hit some 13 home runs and like less than 200 plate appearances last year.
It could be. Going back to what you said about Shane Bieber before we move on to the lineup. He's been throwing bullpens in Goodyear. Hasn't stepped on a game mound yet, and Vogt said he probably won't until he makes a rehab start. But he's throwing bullpens and says he looks good. So we'll see. Okay. But going back to what you said, I think you need some sort of power from Manzardo, Noel, Lane Thomas.
I was going to ask you, but does Kyle Manzardo develop into that guy? Yeah.
I think he could.
Okay.
He's played well at the end of the season last year. He's playing well in spring.
Okay.
But like I told you over text, if Brian Rocchio hits like he did in the postseason,
which by the way, I don't know how you got my number, but okay, yeah, you did text me this.
If Rocchio hits like he did in the postseason, the Guardians will be just fine. If you got a guy in your 9-hole hitting 300,
well, especially with Kwan getting on base the way he was in my goodness. And then you're gonna have Carlos Santana right after him, who's an impossible out.
So you could get so Jose could get up with 4 guys on base, or 3 guys on base.
If he gets up with 4 guys on base, I think there could be a problem there. There might be a little bit of a logistical issue.
No, but I just think that even if Rocchio hits 270, like you can't have
18 home runs.
Yeah, like you can't have these bottom half of the order guys hitting, everybody below 6 hitting 190.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to produce any runs in the postseason like we saw.
Yeah. Stephen Kwan, he's going to get on base. He's going to. He lived on base in October.
I saw a crazy stat that he had the most pitches called outside of the zone that were called strikes, and people were like, "Dude, he's gonna feast on the new automatic balls and strike system that you can challenge
Oh, can you
pitches."
imagine actually being able to like zone up a pitch and know if it's going to be a ball or a strike?
Yeah, dude, people are like, he's gonna feast on that because he had 162 pitches outside of the zone called strikes. The next closest was 102.
Oh my gosh. I wonder what's the reason for that?
I don't know, but could you imagine? Could you imagine like a postseason game on a pitch that's outside the zone and he challenges it and he gets on base and it starts a rally?
The challenge hasn't even worked, by the way.
I know most of the time the pitchers have been right or the umpires have been right.
I don't know. There was one I saw the other day that I didn't think the call was right, and they didn't change it. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to work. I feel like baseball umpires, especially in the major leagues, have a little bit of a. I don't want to say they have an ego problem. I'll try to say they have a problem with their ego. I don't know. I don't know another way to say it. They just won't change the call. And I feel like the crew gets together and they're like, listen, no matter what happens,
well, no,
we don't go against each other, right? We're all we got out here, man. Like,
well, no,
you're supposed to be an impartial judge.
The automatic balls and strike system that they can challenge, it's not up to the umpires on if they change the call or not.
Okay. Well, I saw a call that was clearly high, way out of the zone in spring training. Someone challenged it as part of the new whatever. It didn't get called. I mean, it remained a strike.
But it's not. It comes from,
or a ball. I can't remember what it was.
I think it comes from like wherever their headquarters are at.
Okay.
And it shows the zone, and if the ball's touching the zone, it's a strike. Okay. It doesn't come from like they don't get together like it's a review.
Do they take into consideration, because we know you get the camera that's like off to the left or the right?
No, it shows it right
on TV. Hey, don't pay attention to that.
It shows it right down the middle.
Zone box. That's off.
It shows it right down the middle.
If it's off, why is it there?
It's like a 3D. It's like a 3D picture that can like move from all different angles that they can see from.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think it makes its way to MLB. So
how long are the delays going to be? We talked about speeding up the game, the pitch clock, and now we're going to
not long.
I don't know how many challenges you get, but
they take like you can take as many as you want, I think. But
can't wait for 5-hour games.
They take like a couple seconds. Okay. I think the longest one I saw took like 4 seconds.
Real quick, while we're talking about balls and strikes and everything, I immediately popped into my head the score bug, right? I don't know if you remember the score bug in the Super Bowl that made everyone really upset.
I didn't like it.
I didn't mind it. I don't care either way, right? It's whatever. It was simple. It was streamlined. I don't care either way. Didn't bother me. I didn't think anything of it until everyone started complaining about it. I'm like, okay, whatever. It said Philadelphia and KC. Who cares? So now, anyway, ESPN's gone to more of that, right, for baseball games. So, unfortunately, and a lot of the stream, they look like all the score bugs look like that for Major League Baseball now. So, unfortunately, I don't think we'll see any more poop games where you get a 0-0 game between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. You're not going to see poop on the score bug anymore, and that saddens me a little bit. But I guess we'll move past that. While we're talking about the Guardians, I want to give me a quick record prediction. 2025. Give me like a floor and a ceiling for their record, if that makes sense.
I think
like a lowest record, you think like this is their floor, they won't go below this unless like crazy chaos happens, injuries, whatever. We're not gonna account for that. If they stay relatively healthy as you can expect a Major League Baseball team to stay over 162 games, what's the lowest win total, highest win total? Give me that.
I think their lowest win total is probably right around 80.
Okay.
I think their highest win total, I'd say probably around 100.
Okay. See, I'm surprised to hear you say so low. And I know you're probably thinking about injuries if chaos happens, whatever, but I'm trying to stay away from the chaos. If Bieber comes back and he's pretty Bieberish, Shane Bieberish, not Justin Bieber, because that wouldn't help. No offense, Justin Bieber, great artist, not a good pitcher, probably. If he's Bieberish, we're going to make that a word. That's going to be a thing by the end of the season. Bieberish is going to be a thing. If he comes back and he's himself and they get some decent, on base percentages out of Kwan and Santana, they're going to be scoring some runs. I would love to see if Jose Ramirez can get, he was so close to a 40-40 season last year.
He was so close to a 40-40-40 season.
40-40-40, exactly. 39 home runs, 39 doubles, 41 stolen bases. We know what you're going to get out of Jose Ramirez.
You're going to get from Jose.
Yeah, he is absolutely a rock in that lineup.
I've told people this too. I said his defense every year has gotten better and better.
Yeah, and people don't even notice it because he's just such a good hitter that I think it overshadows the defense a little bit. But he's a really good defender.
He went from being
he's a great baseball player. He's a top 5 baseball player.
Yeah, he went from being not very good at defense to now he's a Gold Glove finalist every year.
Listen, if he played for the Yankees or Dodgers, he
Oh, he'd
would
have
be
like
a
8 MVPs.
perennial MVP candidate. We talk about him being one of the best of all time, but he plays for a small market, so not as many people talk. But we love him here. We're glad he's here. We absolutely love Jose Ramirez. I would take him on Atlanta's team in a second. I love Ozzie Albies. I love our infield, but I love Jose Ramirez. I love what he brings to the field, the clubhouse, probably the plane, the bus, whatever, wherever they're at. Ramirez
Funny story before we move on about Jose. I don't know if you heard it or not. They were talking about when Tito took over, they called up Jose Ramirez, and they knew he could switch hit, but he never did it.
Okay.
And going into the spring of the year they called him up, right? In the minors, he like rarely switch hit.
Yeah.
And he hurt his hand on his right hand. And came into spring training or came into the spring that year, and he was constantly switch hitting. And they're like, where'd this come from? And now he's one of the best. And now he's one of the best switch hitters in baseball.
Unreal.
And it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember young Cedric Mullins was a switch hitter and he stopped switch hitting?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I get it. Some guys, they're not good at it, but like
you always have a feel one way or the other that's a little bit more comfortable, right, at the plate.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to the elite level, it's like, okay, maybe it's not an advantage to me to turn around on a lefty anymore. Like maybe I just need to battle in there and just try to hit the ball up the middle, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as the record prediction, I want to give you Guardians. I think they go 91-71. I think they're right there. I think the lowest, as long as they stay relatively healthy, is 85 wins. I think that's good enough. Maybe 86, 87, probably good enough to get them into a wild card spot, maybe. I think they could win as many as 96 games if John Kenzie, Noel, Will Brennan, Kyle Manzarek, if these guys, develop a little bit, and the pitching staff is good, I think they could win up to 96, 97 games. I think they'll go ahead.
I was gonna say it all day, like basically what you said. It all depends on the offense. If these guys develop well behind Hosey, and you get guys on base and some more guys that can actually hit homers and score.
Well, we know that we know that small ball aspect will be there, but they've got a little bit more pop and they've got some on base percentage now in that lineup. So I'm optimistic for them. As far as order of finish in this division,
the White Sox got to be number one, right?
Absolutely, the White Sox are definitely going to win. It's funny. I talked about you like to think the White Sox would get better. I looked at a box score the other day. They were down 9-0 after the first inning, and I'm like, well, okay, the White Sox are going to be the White Sox again this year. We know
the Rockies batted around and it was 6-0.
Or 6-0, whatever it was. It doesn't matter.
So
order of finish. I think maybe. Okay, I'll give you Guardians. I think the Tigers are going to be good. Guardians, Tigers, Twins, Royals, White Sox. Cool.
I could see that. I think also I think the Royals will still be. I don't think the Twins will be that good.
Okay.
I think it'll be the same three teams it was last year.
Okay.
Guardians, Tigers, Royals. I think those three teams will be your AL Central powerhouses.
Reasonable. Yeah, it's fair. I think the Twins make a little bit of a jump just because baseball's weird and those things happen. So I think those things happen. I think the Royals regress a little bit. I've got my reasons, but we don't have time to get into it. Maybe I'll do some side videos about why I think the Royals aren't going to necessarily be great this year. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's the AL Central preview. We've got the Guardians win it. Listen, Bill Nye, the science guy, picked the Guardians to win the World Series.
I saw that.
I can't argue with science, man. It's science. What am I going to do?
Science rules.
Exactly. So that's my pick. I'm sticking to it. So if you have any predictions as far as the Guardians record, the order of finish in the AL Central, who's going to go to the World Series, whatever. If you want to tell us about your baseball picks, let us know in the comments. As always, just let us know.
And you guys comment. You guys comment. I'll interact with you. I love talking baseball. I love talking sports. I'm always in the comment section. So
yeah, and I'll yell at you and call you names if you say something. Whatever. No, I won't do that. Please comment. Like we want to hear what you guys think. We want to hear your order of finish or who you think is a guy to watch. If you think Bazzano will be here by May or June, I would love to hear from you guys. And of course, we've got the all important, because we talked about it, science. Anyway, it's on your screen there. Anyway, that's my wife playing along. I appreciate that. So what are we going to talk about now, Ben? We got to talk about Myles Garrett. We have to talk about, I know we keep talking, it's like it's beating a dead horse at this point. But every week something new comes up and something different happens. I talked about, Andrew Berry talking about maybe the way they're leaning in the draft. A lot of people think the Browns really like Shedeur Sanders at number 2. I don't know. I'm starting to, as I watch more film and try to break down the difference between Sanders and Cam Ward, I'm just finding myself less and less able to really. I don't know. I'm kind of stumped on this one, to be honest with you, about the quarterbacks. I don't know. Last year, if you remember, I really liked Bo Nix. I thought he was going to be the best quarterback out of that draft. I think Jaden Daniels solidified that, at least for the first year, right? But Bo Nix was probably the second best quarterback, right, in the draft last year.
I would agree.
So I think I thought I knew how to watch quarterbacks, but this year I just don't know. I can't get a gauge. I think Cam Ward looks so calm in the pocket sometimes that I'm like, that's the guy, right? But I don't know if he'll ever get a chance to be that calm here in the pocket. It seems like the Browns always have some kind of offensive line issue, injuries, whatever. So I don't know if that's necessarily the look that you get from Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders has the accuracy I think, to make all the throws in the NFL. It doesn't necessarily have the strongest arm, right, that we've seen come out of the draft in the last few years. That's fine. He's got a strong enough arm. I think he can make some plays. I just don't know if either one of these guys is a guy that gets you to the next level. I mean, how do you feel about the quarterbacks?
See, I don't think Cam Ward will be good in the NFL. I think Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur Sanders will be better.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw.
I mean, that's reasonable, but why do you say that?
I don't know if you saw clips of Cam Ward or not, but when he does a play action, when he does a play action pass, he doesn't sell the play action. He just.
No, but I think a lot of that is because he's not spending a lot of time under center in college. And I think it's harder to sell a play action in the shotgun. I really do. I think things just happen more quickly.
But if you're not good at selling a play action pass, it's not going to work in the NFL.
But I think he'll be better at it if he's playing under center. Does that make sense?
It does, but if he's not playing under center, how's he supposed to get better at it?
I don't know. That's a great question.
Like, you're not going to want to develop him on the fly.
No, but I know Stefanski likes his quarterbacks to go under center more often.
But doing play action in practice,
more often than not, but at least some.
Doing play action in practice is different than doing it in the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, you look at Shedeur Sanders. Like,
you know who's a wizard with the play action?
Who?
Baker Mayfield.
Dude, he's great because he sells it.
Yeah.
He sells the play action.
He was like a magician sometimes. But okay.
And if you remember that Browns team that went on that historic run in 2020,
yeah,
what was their bread and butter? The play action bootleg to the right, throw it down the field.
Well, they had a legitimate run game at the time, and that helped.
Well, they did. But at the same time, why I don't think Cam Ward's gonna be good is because Miami actually had a decent run game with Cam Ward, and he still couldn't sell a play action pass.
Yeah.
And Shedeur Sanders at Colorado could, and they didn't have a run game.
But then Sanders would hold on to the ball too long, and I agree with you there. It's 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other.
I agree with you. I think Sanders does.
And if we're talking about eggs, they're very expensive, so you got to pick the right basket. It's very scary.
I agree with you. I think Sanders can hold the ball for too long.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I also think that he holds the ball because he can make a play with his arm that can change a game.
For sure, he can make the plays. Absolutely.
Where Cam Ward sometimes has to use his legs because doesn't have the same arm talent as Shedeur Sanders. And
by the way, I don't know, like, it seems like I keep reading on social media that Shedeur Sanders is like a distraction and some kind of a I don't know where this notion came from. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I mean, guys can have a little bit of fun on the field. That doesn't make them a distraction to their team, a problem in the locker room. It doesn't mean that at all.
He's done nothing but lead that Colorado team with heart and fight.
Yeah.
And, do you remember?
He and Travis Hunter were the guys, man. I mean, they were the two. They were the heart and soul.
His first year in Colorado. Remember how banged up he was, and he was still out there playing, giving his heart.
Yeah. That was when their offensive line was quite literally 5 swinging gates. Yeah. I mean, they had nothing.
Yeah, it was terrible.
He was out there making plays on his own.
But,
so, I mean,
but then, like, you saw. I mean, like, you saw the numbers he put up with a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
And then, the second year he had a decent offensive line and his numbers were even better.
Yeah. When the Browns are healthy, they have a good offensive line.
They do. I agree. They do.
Yeah. So,
but at the same time, though, oh my gosh, speaking of offensive lines and talking about Myles Garrett, did you see the whole JJ Watt thing?
No.
So he's a partial owner of Burnley. It was a soccer team in England.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're going to say. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And he promised their goalie if he kept the shutout the rest of the year, he'd come back and play for the Bengals.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, really? Like, why couldn't you say
how the Bengals are like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what? You haven't played in...
And somebody asked him, like, would you really play? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm still in shape. He goes, I still train with TJ every offseason.
I believe that. I believe he is in shape. I do believe that.
But could you imagine, dude, if he goes to the stinking Bengals, though?
Of course, it'd be in this division.
Right.
Of course it will be, because it can't make either one of us happy.
And
By the
that
way, the Browns,
goalkeeper,
real quick before we get out of here, we
Yeah.
don't only have a couple minutes left. I can't believe how fast time goes. But the Browns have already started making offseason moves. Juan Thornhill's gone. Long snapper Charlie Hewlett. He was actually the second longest tenured member of the team. Been since 2014. Hewlett's gone. They signed Anthony Kendall, who played cornerback at Division III Baldwin Wallace here locally. So
did they say they're letting Nick Chubb walk too?
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna let him test free agency, which is very sad. I don't know. I hope he is. Not even from a Brown standpoint. I just hope Nick Chubb gets back to the point where he's a productive runner again and has a great
come to Pittsburgh.
What's that?
Talks he might come to Pittsburgh.
Oh my gosh, don't say that. I can't imagine. Browns fans would quite literally just, I think there would be a mutiny.
Especially if we get rid of
everybody would be happy for Nick Chubb. No one's gonna be mad at Nick Chubb. No one's gonna be upset with him for that.
Especially if we get rid of Najee.
To see at the same time, right?
Yeah, especially if we get rid of Najee.
So you're real quick. I just want to get before we get out of here. I just want to get we don't have to break down players, but I want to get your gut reaction right now to the Browns. I think this is the only three places they go. Do they go quarterback, offensive line, edge rusher with that number 2 pick, or do they trade it back?
I think it all depends on what happens with Garrett.
I think so too. I don't think Abdul Carter is a bad pick. Whatever happens with Garrett.
If you trade, I don't either. But if you trade Garrett, you need somebody that can try to fill his shoes.
You've got to get Abdul Carter in there. You have to.
You have to. But
Abdul Carter, listen, I don't know if you believe all the pre-draft stuff, but Abdul Carter lately has been kind of making comments alluding to the fact that he's been thinking about what it's going to be like to play, on the opposite side of Myles Garrett. So maybe he knows something we don't, Ben.
I mean, maybe, but at the same time, if I'm the Browns and you trade Myles Garrett and then draft a quarterback, you just lost your defense will be non-existent.
Yeah.
You'll have no pressure.
And they've already struggled. Even with all that talent on that defense, they've already struggled. Losing Myles Garrett and not adding something back would be a disaster.
Yeah.
For a team that finished 3-14 last year and has a quarterback identity issue, right?
I think it all I think it all depends on what happens with Garrett.
Fair enough. I think everything depends on what happens with Garrett. But I also don't know. I think you might be surprised. I think they go with Abdul Carter either way. I think that's my pick right now. Listen, guys, we got to get out of here. Who do you like for the Browns to take at number 2? Do you want them to trade it back and stock some draft picks?
I think they should trade for the Steelers.
Yeah, don't say that. Stop saying things, Ben. Do you want them to trade the draft pick back? And do you want them to trade Myles Garrett and just stock up a bunch of draft picks for this year and next year and kind of maybe take a flyer on next year and just whatever happens? We have all the draft picks. Do you want them to take Abdul Carter?
I'll say this before.
Offensive line. Hold on, Ben. Do you think they go quarterback? Is it Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward? Or do you think they do something completely different and Browns it and mess it all up? Let us know in the comments. I want to hear your opinion in the comments. And next week's on the show. Look, next week, this is going to be a fun division. I got the AL West next week, okay?
Ooh.
We're going to preview the AL West. And I think, aside from being a Braves fan and wanting the Guardians to do well and knowing how much money the Yankees and Mets and the Dodgers have spent, I think they're going to be a sneaky team from the AL West that goes to the World Series this year. Just saying, it's not the Astros either. I have a sneaky dark horse out of the AL West. We'll dig a little bit deeper into the NFL draft as well. Maybe we'll go specific. You want to go position group next week? Who you want to talk about? Let's really break down Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders.
I think we should do punters and kickers.
Punters and kickers. Let's go. First round, number 2 overall, with the number 2 pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
That'd be something the Browns would do.
Browns select some punter from
Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say Kennesaw State, right?
No, but
you just never know.
I'd be down to break down the quarterbacks coming out this year.
All right, let's do that. Something
fun to do.
Again, guys, thanks so much for watching. We've got a couple of very special guests that we're working on trying to get lined up for the show. At least 2 or 3 people that we've been talking to behind the scenes. So I'm just trying to find the best day that works for everyone. So keep your eye on that. As always, if you have any opinions on anything that we've talked about today, let us know in the comments, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. As always, remember to like and share our show. Help us grow. Help us, become better at bringing you more sports. I was going to say knowledge, but more sports opinion and guesses. And just help us grow. And we thank you so much. We appreciate you watching. We will see you next Wednesday on the Sports Show with No Name. For Ben Bales, I'm your host, Chad Bryan. Thanks again, guys. We will see you next week. Have a good one.
Peace.